I'm Jgsf1987. I'm a writer and blogger. Hey everybody, I'm Jgsf1987. I'm a writer and blogger. To see my latest posts, go to my blog at jgsf1987.com, and help also support this channel, which will be down in the description, is my Patreon link, which is patreon.com/jgsf1987. All right, so news. So the two new Democratic senators have been sworn in. So that's going to make, that's going to most likely put an end to the charade known as the Republican non-governing. Like I said, that's just it at the minimum. Some interesting news actually is that I have I've been trying to see what I can do to I've been talking to some real professionals in terms of, getting my writing out and such. Currently, one of the little projects I'm doing right now is a review for actually a potential connection I have. They want me to do, a little thing on watching Black Hawk Down and seeing how that was not, to basically explain how it's better to not do what we were trying to do in Somalia, with the military, saying that we could just try to do it with stuff like the Peace Corps and such. So I'm currently watching that movie, but I've heard enough about it that I know the backstory to it, and plus I know a lot of other things. Plus, I'm familiar with what had happened. Hi, Mom. Yeah, Mom won't let him. Yeah, I'm in here, Mom. Anyways. Yeah, I ate earlier, Mom. I had a turkey sandwich. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just making a video. It's alright. Don't worry about it. That's my lovely mother. Love her to death. Anyway, so currently for one thing, I'm a little worried right now, especially given the East Coast, like Arctic blast and such. I'm worried because of my brother. He's living currently in the state of Virginia, and they're getting slammed with cold weather. I'm just hoping that at least he'll be able to do that. At least he'll be okay. Well, I know him. He'll be fine. He's resourceful, and he'll do whatever he has to do. I mean, to get by. So, I mean, yeah, there's that. And actually, tomorrow is, for me, sort of a celebration in and of itself. 7 years since I first dated that that sweet little lady that's with me writing the pictures that I have up for my channel. Yeah, so there's that. And by the way, if you haven't seen the new Star Wars movie, I'm telling you, go see it. It's almost as good as the first one in this sequel trilogy. This is number two, There's going to be one more in about a little more than a year from now. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. I don't know. Oh, I can say is we've got quite a mess here that we got to be cleaning up. Well, figuratively and literally. I mean, I can't even figure out what the... There's just one thing I'm not able to really figure out right now, which is that why there's been a new set of McCarthyism actually that's been going on. Oh, actually, if you want to know what the heck I'm talking about, I read an article in the Washington Post that I heard about through Alternet actually. As it turned out, this was a now these guys are, well respected for being, part of the mainstream media and such, but they took a whack at a lot of what's been said, especially about that. And a lot of it basically is what I had said in a few videos actually, and I'll say it again, which is that so far, this whole thing about Russia pushing the election in Trump's direction. First of all, there's very little evidence that actually supports that. That's for starters. And two, even if they had tried to do it, their effects would have been very minuscule at best. There's a few other reasons, behind it, actually. Now, all the stuff that's been going on with all the voting machines and such being hacked and such, well, I would beg to differ in one sense. The hacking of those voting machines, that has been going on. That's been a constant problem since electronic voting machines were introduced, back at the turn of the millennium. Or pretty close to it, actually. So there's always been some kind of irregularities with them, and they've been... I mean, there was a documentary done about this, which makes me think that if we're dealing with hackers, I'm pretty sure they're domestic hackers. They're not from abroad. I think the biggest reason that I don't think a lot of, hackers from abroad even bother with it is because what are they going to get out of it? Nothing. For them, it's too easy. They would want something a lot more challenging, like some of the more encrypted networks that we use for classified information. That's what they'll go after. Election machines, they're so unguarded that at this point they don't bother. It's domestic hackers that do that, or they do a pre-programming of it, especially if it's somebody who's really in favor of one party or the other. So here's the thing. I honestly don't see Trump getting hit with I don't see him getting hit with anything regarding to the regarding this Russia investigation, basically. Personally, like I said, I don't think they're going to get anywhere with that. What they could get him off of, however, and this is, I think, mostly where they're going to actually, if there's going to be any kind of impeachment proceedings, I don't think it's just going to be because of Russia. What has been alleged, but never proven, or when it has been proven, the proving evidence happened to be incorrect. No, I'm not saying this because I'm a Putin apologist at all. I'm not. Personally, I think Putin's has had his good run, and it's time for him to basically pass the torch. But Hey, that's for the Russian people to decide in about a couple of months from now. That's not me. And the Russian electorate is just going to do what it's going to do. If it means we got to deal with Putin for 6 years, we got to deal with Putin for 6 years. Big la-di-da, so we have to deal with it for another 6 years. Yeah, it's not that. If you cut away about half the noise, if you really listen to what he and Trump are saying, Trump has been for quite a while, and correctly actually, saying that we should try to be on good terms with Moscow, and he is correct. And he's also correct in some of his rants on Twitter. Look, I don't approve of a good chunk of them. I don't approve of, and I think that he's basically going a little overboard with. But some of them actually have a lot of credibility to them. First of all, Congress is doing everything it can to tie his hands up, so this way they can try to initiate a hot war with Russia. Many of these people served in Congress during the latter half of the Cold War. So basically, the Cold War mentality is still going on in Washington, especially among the real establishment, basically. So the Russophobia, McCarthyism that's going on here, that's, first of all, McCarthyism about this and such, that's not new. When it comes to, officially spreading out Russophobia, that's not new. That's happened at least twice in our history. That's happened about 2 times. This is the 3rd time. What is new is how severe the degree is. And that is a big problem. Now, as I said before, I saw a article on the Washington Post. I'll put it down in the description. And for you to basically see for yourselves and, I don't know, draw your own conclusions. Anyway, what it actually examined is a lot of what had been going on, or a lot of it of what's been said, especially like given MSNBC or some of the other mainstream media outlets, about how this thing is so off base. The overtones are getting to the point where it's getting incredibly dangerous if something is not done to rein that in. So basically, a lot of Democrats are using that as a way of using it as sort of a political punching bag at this point. That's not going to help them, because the American people are not going to tolerate that. Yeah, they have their own reservations about Trump, and rightly so, because Trump has been so far has been actually the least competent president in our entire history. I mean, he puts James Buchanan to shame. And he was, up until he's basically up until Trump's election, he was the least competent president. Bush came close. Bush was like the second least competent. Well, Trump puts those 2 to shame. Now, this is not calling back for another era of the Bush and the neocons. First of all, the neocons shouldn't be anywhere near the levers of power. That's at least from my view. Just like the But here's the thing. Being the party of the anti-Trump is not enough for them. They need to have a clear... Democrats, if they're going to be trying to do anything this year, they can't just simply rely on everybody's disgust to Trump. It's not going to be a winning strategy. Because if they're going to basically behave like the lighter version of the Republicans, guess what? They are going to lose again and again and again and again because they don't provide an alternative. The DNC right now is trying to have it both ways, where they can say that they're progressives, but in reality they're just placating. But in reality, they are little more than, shall we say, basically they try to act like they're progressive, but instead they're pawns of the some of the wealthiest Americans in corporate America. They can't be a party of both business and labor. Those two are in complete are antithetical to each other. Just like they can't say that they're progressives, but at the same time push corporatism, which is what they've been doing, at least the Clinton brand of it. But here's the thing, is that they'll be howling. I know that they're going to be howling like there is no tomorrow. And that, as I said, that's going to be so crazy. It's like, nobody knows what to do with them. Well, one last thing, actually, No, I mean, I'll try to cut it off here, so this way, well, I'll say this much. The push for an impeachment right now, they don't have anything. Well, they haven't really disclosed anything so far on Trump's obvious. Where the forces of impeachment can really nail Trump at this point, and actually Pence too, come to think of it, it's with the emoluments clause. That they can hit him with, because he is actually, whether he's trying to or whether he's doing it intentionally or not, the problem is he's profiting from the fact that Trump is basically profiting off of the fact that he happens to be the current sitting U.S. president. It's all the properties that have his name on it. Look, some of them, you can make the case for those that he has direct control over, or his company had direct control over. That you could do. But you can't do it for everything, because everything that he had, until there's evidence that's proven otherwise, he may have personally divested himself, but he had basically he gave more of the running of it to his family rather than to anywhere else. So he's divested maybe personal control of it, and the part that his family still controls, that you can get them with. But but a good chunk of it you can't do it, because the Trump organization franchises Trump's name, actually, meaning that they lease the rights to stick his name on something in and that's generally the case all over the world. I mean, he doesn't have any direct control over that. So that's so there's one thing that you got to keep in mind there. As for Pence, the problem with Pence is that he has an ongoing investigation of his own sort of happening right now in Indiana. There's that. Plus, they're going to potentially hit Pence for what he knew about, Trump's potential violations of the Emoluments Clause and why he didn't come forward and say something to Congress about it a lot earlier, saying that because they're going to get him basically for, guilt by association. I know that's a fact. Personally, if the forces of impeachment can make the case, I'll back them up. But until they have a real solid case, this talk of impeachment is way too early, and it's premature. Oh, and also, one last thing. I got a chance to, talk with my buddy Skaz about a couple of weeks ago. I gotta tell you, if you haven't heard it, if you haven't gone to his to his channel here on YouTube, you should. I'll throw the description for that down in the link. I'll throw a link for that also down in the description. Sorry, I don't mind. I'm kind of a scatterbrains, but anyway, yeah, so keep that in mind. And also, you're gonna need to get a little. Well, here's the thing: you're also gonna need to think about some of the ways that you're going to be filing your taxes for 2017, and especially for fiscal 2018 too. Because since the new tax law went into effect on Monday, there's that. And also, if you live here in the state of California, we got weed and it's fully legal. Not only that, it's really irking the Trump administration that Jeff Sessions really desperately wants to go after everybody who's doing that, especially those who are, people of color. Yeah. Jeff Sessions is a very confirmed racist. So we gotta keep an eye on that. We gotta get that under control. So here's what I'm gonna tell you. At this point, keep your eyes and ears open. If you like, and you want to see actually where not to mention, I also got a couple articles up on the Hill Talk as well. I'll throw those in the description actually. And so yeah, I'll leave it at that. Anyway, I'm Jgsf1987. I am out of here, and I will hope to communicate more with you, or to reach out to you guys more, especially on Facebook and Twitter. So you can find me on there too. Those links will also be in the description, as will my link for Google Plus. Anyway, I'm Jgsf1987, and I am out of here.